So today I want to work on another test subject. So I have these paper flowers that I got like a month ago. I was supposed to use them for my Halloween book, but I had them in a bag. So obviously I forgot about them. So it was literally in the bag. I got this from Michael's, so it's just in a Michael's bag. And so Halloween is now past, but I wanted to use it for something. So I have this page that we cut out for a different project, probably one of those weird books for Halloween. And some kind of way you can see it got dented really bad, like in a couple of places. I probably dropped it and tried to catch it on the table, because it's like a straight line. That's not an accident. It's probably from the table itself. So obviously I couldn't use this, so I took it out and put it in my scrap pile, and I found it. And so now I'm going to use it for my book, because I don't care if something is not perfect, because it's my book, so it doesn't matter. So kind of fits with the Black Dragon dark theme. So after we conducted our experiment, we figured out that the best adhesive is Mod Podge. So I will now, this is usually for resin, but I'm gonna put some in this little cup, and I don't think it'll stick because it's for resin, and resin doesn't stick to it, so it should be okay. And I'm just gonna put just a small amount, and I'm really strict and cautious when it comes to my Mod Podge. I think I said that on the other video where I don't like putting crumblies in my stuff, so I just bought a dollar store thing to put Mod Podge in. And I don't even use that like that. Like, I don't open this up. I just put it in something else. So my Mod Podge is like pristine. So not that I'm bragging about that. So this is the damaged area. So we'll put some of these at the bottom. And I think it's kind of cool. Like, these are flowers, kind of. So these are flowers. So I'm going to use, if the test was any indication of how strong this stuff is, like, I think by tomorrow, like, it's gonna be like a rock solid thing. We'll see how it looks. It's not bad. It is making the colors run a little bit. Another thing about Mod Podge that makes it not always the best choice for projects is if you have something with a lot of ink on it. Like, look, you can see, I think the flower has ink or something. I don't know if it's the flower or the page, but something has ink that's running. When you print something out, like if I wanted to seal something into a resin book, which I'm gonna have to do soon, I really advise you to make sure it's dry. So I think I saw somebody use a blow dryer before, or a heat gun to dry whatever they're playing with or whatever they're using. Like, I saw somebody do that before. So that was a cool tip. Or like, if you have a lot of pre-manufactured stuff, like by the time you get it, the ink is like a year old and it's set. So sometimes you can use Mod Podge on those things and it doesn't run. Like, I had some little, hold on a minute, let me just go get it. Okay, I'm not going to get it, my husband is. So while he goes to get my example, but you can use Mod Podge to seal stuff that's like manufactured, or that you made sure it's dry, because if the ink is still kind of fresh, a lot of times it'll run. And in this case, I don't know why this is running. Maybe, like I said, it has a lot of excess ink in it. And don't worry about it spilling over. I'm going to put some more stuff here. I don't know. Let me just stick this here. Okay. Let's pause for a minute here. All right, so this is, again, one of my eternal projects. I say eternal because I still haven't finished it, and it's been like a year. So this is my tray phase. Like, I saw like somebody make a tray, and I liked it so much that I started making trays like this with epoxy resin. But let me tell you something. The surface area of a project is really important, because even if you don't necessarily use too much resin, because I don't think it was a lot, the issue is that you have to protect all of this from dust. and you have to get rid of every piece of dust and hair that falls in to all of this. So it's just not humanly possible. For a little A5 book, yes, I can definitely check for hairs and dust and take them out. I have a little tool that I got from the Dollar Tree that's like, I think it's for knitting, but I use it to take out stuff in my resin. And a lot of times if it's like a tiny hair, like a dust hair, not like a pet hair or a person hair, like a dust hair, resin, if you even coat it in resin, it goes invisible. You can't even see it. So I have that kind of a tool to prevent stuff from falling into it. But like, I don't even worry about bubbles. I can fix bubbles. Bubbles is not a thing for me anymore. Like, that was like the first couple of projects I made, I had bubbles. But after like a while, you have so many different ways of getting rid of them, and just mix it slow and then use a heat gun. That's it. But my issue was stuff just falling in. Like, it would just be like just random things. Like, I think that's gold leaf, but like you would just see these little dust things that show up. But anyways, the other issue I had with these trays is bleeding. So what will happen is, if you don't seal paper well with Mod Podge or a spray sealant, if you don't seal it well, it looks wet, and it will look wet forever. So if you use resin on top of it, it just looks like a stain. So it just got to the point where I would have to use, and you can kind of see the glue underneath it, I would have to use, like, I use maybe 5 or 6 layers of Mod Podge to seal it in. But you can see this is a sticker, and I sealed it with Mod Podge. There's no bleeding, nothing moved, none of the ink is gone. This is a one of those little playing cards I got off Etsy, and it has no bleeding. And this is one of the things I did. So I made I made a book about medieval clothing that I never published or did anything with, but I made a book, and my husband drew it. So here's like the little outfit step by step, and I still never published that either because he didn't quite finish drawing them. But I used Mod Podge on these, and this is something I printed, and it was fine. Because again, it's a small amount of ink and it dried really fast. This is a greeting card my mom gave me. That's why I put it in here, because I'm a mama's girl. I love my mom. So she gave me a card. She gave me a bunch of greeting cards for some reason. I don't know. But I've been using them in projects. So you might see a couple of them where the envelopes in my projects, and this is the same one. But notice how all of this stuff, I use Mod Podge on it. I sealed everything with Mod Podge. This is like some ephemera I got from Amazon. All of this stuff, Mod Podge seal. I didn't use anything else. So it does seal, but let me hand this back.
Not very helpful.
Oh, leave Troll alone. So apparently my dog wanted to help me with my project. But anyways, a lot of times you have no issue sealing with Mod Podge. But again, it has to be not fresh ink. Like one time I printed something on clear sticker paper, and I was going to put it inside of, my idea was to take my husband's art on clear sticker paper and put it in front of a cool background for resin. But when I went to seal it, sure enough, it just like got destroyed, the whole image. But that's because, again, I didn't know you had to make it really dry. So I had just printed it out and started trying to seal it right away. I might try it again one day. I think it'd be fun to make one of his art pieces into a book. But I did it wrong. It was awful. And the whole image that I printed just wiped off when I used Mod Podge. And Mod Podge does not work well on inks. Like, just if you ink something, it looks like the still don't know if it's the paper or the flower, but Mod Podge is not great if you ink something. So let's say that I got some of my archive inks and I went to town on a page and I wanted to try to seal it. Yeah, it doesn't work on that because it just smears all the color. I wouldn't use this on that. I would use a spray sealant. So on one of my projects, I made Evil Dead, like monster book for my brother, because he plays it, or at least he played it all the time. And it was like one of the few things I enjoyed watching. Like, I don't really watch streams that much or video games that much anymore. Like, I used to be a big gamer, but I don't watch it that much anymore. So I really enjoyed watching him play the game. So what I did was, kind of to thank him, I just made him a book with Iligo's his favorite monster on there, that he usually plays as the monster, not as a survivor. So I made him a whole Iligo's book, and I had cast it in clay and everything, and then I had painted it with some acrylic. The epoxy piece I painted with acrylic, but it didn't look aged enough, so I was like, I have aging ink, so it's supposed to age things, so I'm going to use my inks to age it. And then something just told me, this is before I found out for sure that Mod Podge was not a good sealer for inks. Something told me, like, just don't do it. You did all that work on aging it, and if you put Mod Podge on it, you could run it. So intuitively, I knew it probably wasn't a good idea, probably because of what I saw when I printed that thing out. It didn't work well with it. So I just said no, and I used a spray sealant, and I used it in thin layers, thin repeated layers, and it kept the alcohol inks embedded on the project, so it looked like old gnarly teeth, and was so cool. So that's one thing about Mod Podge. You cannot do stuff like that with Mod Podge, but paper stuff is looking all right so far. I don't know exactly what I'm doing here. I'm just doing things. I don't have a pattern or a design plan. I just want to cover up that bump, or at least give it a reason to have a bump. So we're just gonna keep putting little flowers here. I was excited today because I heard a bird for the first time in a long time. And I don't know if you know, or I said it before, but I live in a place where they have a cat colony. So what that means is there's so many feral cats that the Humane Society or whatever, they don't pick them up anymore because they live here. There's more of them than us. So nobody told me that when I bought the house. But, you know, me being a nice person, like, my mom always taught me, if you see an animal that needs something, take care of it. So I just started feeding them. Like, I don't know, like, if they usually are fixed. Like, a lot of times they come with the little ears notched and they've been neutered and spayed already. Because what they do is they'll catch the cat and they'll bring it back where it came from, because it came from a cat colony. They're not going to try to adopt it out or hurt it. They just put it back. So a lot of times we'll see some of them, like, I don't name them because I don't want to get attached to them, but I basically refer to them by, like, the attributes. Like, I'll say medium cat or daddy cat, because one of them had kittens, so he wasn't neutered, but he is now. So, or I call one of them P-Joe, because there was a movie about a man named Peter Joseph, or a boy named Peter Joseph, and they called him P-Joe, and it looked like that. So it just, oh, and I saw one I call Mustache Man, because he looks like he has a mustache. I don't know, I really don't, I mean, I guess I kind of give them names, but I refer to them by attributes. So sometimes they'll just disappear and then they come back a week later neutered. So I tried to help out that way, but I don't fit the schedule. So you have to have them, like, in a cage for a whole day. I don't know about that. I don't like that, but somebody's doing it, and I think they're catching them and releasing them too. So somebody's coming around patrolling, grabbing cats and putting them back. I don't know. I'm glad they're doing that, but if I see a cat outside my house and it looks hungry, I'll feed it. That's the thing. And then it kind of blew up from there, because it gets cold here sometimes. It's not supposed to. I moved back here because it's supposed to be warm, but I don't know what's going on with this global climate change or global warming or whatever's going on, but, like, it's been freezing lately. So especially during the pandemic, since I wasn't using my porch, I just put some cat houses outside, so if they get cold, they have somewhere to go. And I put, like, little blankets and stuff in them. So, and it's like, they're really expensive, but if you buy a cat house in, like, summertime, it's like half price. So I buy them in the summertime, and then by the time it's winter, we put them together and they just do whatever. I don't know, cat stuff. But the point is, if you have a cat colony, you don't have birds, you don't have squirrels, you don't have chipmunks, you don't have anything like that, because they're cats and they are predators. So I mean, I've seen, like, 4 squirrels my entire time I lived here. When I moved here, the first thing I saw outside was a dead squirrel body. So that should have told me there was something up. But I was kind of nervous about it. I'm like, I don't know, there's a dead animal, like, the first time I saw my house. And my mom's like, oh, no, it has some good energy. It should be fine. I'm like, but it's dead. She's like, no, it's all right. And I'm like, okay. I had no explanation of why that thing was dead, but I know now. And they do other stuff. Like, I've seen them, like, some people have, like, run down lots and stuff, but I've seen them catch giant rats. They bring rattlesnakes. They've killed all kinds of stuff. So, like, I don't mind feeding them if I don't have to walk outside to a rattlesnake. I'm just saying. If the choice is feeding them little kibbles and giving them a nice place to stay and I don't have to step on a snake, we'll take the cat any day. But anyways, and don't feel bad for the snake. There was a bunch of them. So apparently there's like a rattlesnake den somewhere in my house, around my house. I don't know. Or in a neighbor's house, because they'll leave me a snake every now and then. And I'm like, I hope that's dead, because yeah, that's a rattlesnake. But anyways, I heard a bird this morning. So I was like, that's very interesting. I didn't know we had those. And it reminded me of the story of my bird alarm. So before you judge me and ask me, what is a bird alarm? Let's just start at the beginning. So about a year and a half ago, I heard this cute little bird outside, and I was just in love with this bird. I thought it was so hilarious because the bird, his whole stick was he would do one note. He couldn't do anything else. He goes, beep, beep. He started about 7 o'clock in the morning. He'd just go, beep, beep. And I'm like, that is so hilarious. Who made a bird that way? Like, how did evolution happen? And a bird just beeps. Like, what is that? And it just made me laugh. My husband hated it. He's like, I hate that stupid beeping bird. He's always beeping. And I'm like, leave that bird alone. He's doing what he can. Just leave that beeping bird alone. I didn't really think about it. And about 6 months, like a year, I don't know, time passed. And one night at about 3 o'clock in the morning, I heard something go, whoop, beep, 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 whoop. And I'm like, who set off an alarm at 3 o'clock in the morning? And I have to wake up. My husband wakes up at like 5 o'clock. No, by 4:30. And I'm like, who in their minds? Like, is somebody getting robbed? Like, I need to know what's happening here. And so it just started again. Whoop, and it did this for days. I mean, days. The worst car alarm. But it sounded kind of like a bird at the same time. So I'm like, a bird alarm? Who put a bird alarm and who turns a bird alarm on at 3 o'clock? Who? Do you need to wake up that bad? What is your job? What kind of psychopath do I have living next door to me? Who does this? And I'm just like, I can't take it anymore. And so I was about to go knock on the door and just ask these people, what is wrong with you and your bird alarm? Turn this bird alarm off right now. 3 o'clock in the morning, I was about to go just knock on the door. And so then I went ahead and someone told me, just don't go over there yelling at those people about this bird alarm. Just go ask them. Just go to Google. Go to Google first, then go ask them. So I went to Google and I typed in bird that sounds like an alarm. And apparently a mockingbird, like if a mockingbird lives in the wilderness, it sounds like a bird, I guess, a regular bird. But if a mockingbird lives in a city, it sounds like whatever is going on by where it lives. So apparently when this bird first got here, he was around like a construction site. So all he could do is go beep, beep. So that was his thing. And then as he got older and he wanted to find a life mate, he decided to increase his range. And he went to a car lot or a used car sales place. I don't know, somewhere with an alarm that was constantly sounding. And he memorized every car alarm known to man, then came back to my house and sang it at 3 o'clock in the morning every day. And I said, how do we get rid of it? Like, is it a pest? Can you catch it? Like, can I relocate it? Can you use wildlife services? No, apparently there's whole colonies of these things. My brother told me, oh yeah, mockingbird. I used to live at the apartment. They used to have a bunch of them just going every night. I'm like, how did you live? I have one and I cannot stand him. And so I'm reading all these crazy comments. Like, if you read the comments under, just go to YouTube and put in mockingbird sound, okay? The comment section will have you rolling. Like, people go on there, like, logging, like, you know, those horror movies or survival movies, like, day one. Like, they log the whole experience. They're like, I can't take this anymore. And, like, some people say they play music back at it. Like, I don't know. Like, just put it on YouTube and see it. So, in the end, I didn't get rid of him. I didn't do anything to the little fella. He just found his woman and he moved on. I haven't heard him since then. And I hope I never do. And it's pretty good. Let's see. I'm going to let it sit for about 24 hours and then we'll see how it turns out.